What's going on, everybody? It's Kyle here, aka The Woodshed, and bringing you guys another Clash of Clans video. Today we are going to talk about, by demand of you guys, how to analyze a base. So I'm going to go over everything from Town Hall 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15, and I'm going to tell you guys what you should be looking for in a base, how you should be considering approaching these things, depending on how you're attacking too. So some of these are going to be pretty in-depth, like some of the Town Hall 13s, 14s, and 15s. They'll be a little bit more in-depth than something like a Town Hall 10 or a Town Hall 11. But this will give you exactly what you need to look for and what you should prioritize taking out on your attacks. So, let's get right into it. Alright, so, base number 1. We are looking at QWERTY, who is one of our elders here at the Woodshed. Shout out to QWERTY, dude. Amazing kid. Very talented. I can't wait to see this guy get into some of the higher town halls like 11, 12, 13. See how good he's going to be. But he's currently at Town Hall 10, and he's definitely on the higher end of Town Hall 10. So I'm going to tell you guys what to look for. There's going to be 2 or 3 major things you're going to look at every town hall, depending on how you want to attack. So the most common thing that people are going to do in this town hall is zap dragons. That's the most common thing. Super easy, consistent, 80%, 3 stars, 90%, something like that. Kind of depending on the layout and depending on who's using it, but super high success rate, right? Thing number 1 you're going to want to look out for is the new defense, which is the Inferno Towers, right? You want to know exactly where those are placed, and you want to know what they're set on. So you can tell this one's set on multi because it has all the fire spade out of the sides of it, versus this one, which looks like the Eye of Sauron from Lord of the Rings, which is a single. So if you see a base that has a couple of multis, it'd be almost perfect for zap dragons, because multis just don't do a ton of damage, right? If you saw something that was a bunch of singles, you might want to do something that's more of like a spam attack, more like a go wee wee, or something along those lines, right? Something a little bit more spammy, kind of creates more units. Something like that would be considerably better. Number 2 thing you'll want to take note of is expos, of course. Expos and air defenses. Kind of 1 and 2 interchangeably, right? So if you're an air attacker, air defenses will be your next priority there. If you're not, you're a ground attacker, it's going to be expos. I don't feel like I should have to explain that. Expos got a really long range to them, and they're really annoying at that range. And air defenses, if again, kind of self-explanatory, right? If you're using zap dragons, you need to be able to get rid of most of those air defenses and come in where there's only 1 or so left. So that's going to be super important. And number 3, and this is really, well, again, I'll give you 3.5. If you're attacking with air, it's going to be the sweepers, right? That is the biggest thing I see people with dragons or electro dragons or any kind of air troops. They just run headfirst in the sweepers, and they just don't have an answer for them. They're just not used to getting pushed back and back and back, and they just eat it. Not something you want to be able to deal with, or you want to be able to deal with, but nobody ever prepares for. So those are the 3 biggest things I would look for going into Town Hall 10. Inferno Towers, expos, air defenses, sweepers. So I give you 4 on Town Hall 10. But as we go up, some of those start to go lower and lower in priority. So you'll see that coming up. So here we are taking a look at Town Hall 11. Shout out to AgroBlaze96. Also an elder in the Woodshed. That's actually my cousin Zach. If you guys play card games, anything like that, he streams Flesh and Blood pretty regularly on Kick and on YouTube. You should go check him out. He also streams Fortnite if that's your kind of thing. Feel free to go give him a look. So we're at Town Hall 11 here, and there's a couple of important things we're going to actually identify about this base. Number 1, and this is going to be pretty consistent, right? You're going to identify the new defense. The Eagle Artillery, if this thing is left unattended, this thing covers almost, well, literally can cover the entire map. So that you have to have a plan for how to deal with it. Rather it is blimping into it, and something like this, it would be more like a log launcher or a wall wrecker kind of going through the middle of that base and putting a lot of pressure on that Eagle, stuff like that. Of course, if you're doing what is most common, and you can see it in aggros, actually, you can see it in his army camps, is Electro Dragons. So you're going to be very cautious if you're an Electro Dragon player, that the next biggest priority besides the Eagle is going to be sweepers. Notice I didn't say Infernos. They still be a big part. He has actually multi-Infernos on this one, which are very little to no harm to E-Dragons, unless just drastically unattended. So single Infernos will stay number 2 if they're single. If they're not, they shoot way down the board at this rank. They become significantly less a factor. If you're not a Zap Dragon player, Eagle Artillery is first. Infernos are going to go to number 2. But of course, and something that I didn't mention in the last one and I should hear, is you're always going to want to identify where the Town Hall is. So on QWERTY's base, it was kind of in the middle of the Town Hall, kind of like where this Dark Elixir storage is. Zax is placed a little bit further out here on the corner, so this is what we would consider an anti-3-star base. So he's going to give you the Town Hall much easier than most places would. But in turn for that, what he's actually done is made it significantly harder for you to 3-star, because all his other defenses are spread out so much. What he's hoping here is that you take his Town Hall and you kind of go around the base, around the Eagle Artillery and all that stuff, and that Eagle can just shell you for periods and periods and periods of time. So it's super important you be able to take care of that. Again, I cannot stress that enough. Even at Town Hall 15, right, the Eagle is still second or third on my priority list. Even at Town Hall 15, right, it just absolutely kills you. Those are going to be by far the biggest things at Town Hall 11, though. Town Hall 13 is where we'll start getting a little bit more interesting. But we're going to go to, next, we're going to go to Town Hall 12. So, let's go. So, here we are at Town Hall 12. Shout out to Kareem, another one of our elders here at the Woodshed. Man, I'm only using the elders as the example. They have the best examples of bases, and they're some of the best people, man. So, I feel bad for everybody else that I'm leaving out of this. But naturally, I can only pick one out of every Town Hall here to use for the example, at least for video number 1, at least. So here's Kareem, a near max Town Hall 12. If you are a air attacker or ground attacker, first thing you're going to prioritize is that Eagle. That Eagle, same principle, will eat you alive through Town Hall 12, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Constant. That's always going to be in your reader. You need to be aware where that's at. Number 2, if you are an air player, it's going to be the sweepers. Sweepers, again, will eat you up no matter what you're doing, rather it's Laloon, rather it is Electro Dragons, anything like that, it's going to eat you alive. If you're not a air attacker, it's going to be Eagle, then it's going to go to the Infernos. Again, Infernos are going to stay pretty high on that list for now. And again, it depends on what kind of Infernos they are. So a couple of single Infernos are going to be pretty susceptible to something like 5 ICG. The Ice Golems, Witches, and Bats. Or just QWERTY if you can still use that at Town Hall 12. It's been a long time since I've been a consistent Town Hall 12. So I don't know if you can still use something like that there. But I know the 5 Ice Golems and the Bat spells are super popular here. So something like that, the single Infernos are pretty weak to. And the multis are really strong against. So again, it's kind of a knowing your enemy and really taking the time to scout out what it is. And of course, the Town Hall is weaponized. Something you guys might not know, tips and tricks here, is if you click on the Town Hall and you zoom into it, it'll actually show you stars. Each weaponized Town Hall has 5 stars. So, what do the stars mean? The stars are actually telling you what level that Town Hall is. So, the Town Hall starts to fire back at people. At 1, 2, and 3, it does increase damage. At 3, 4, and 5, it actually has a bomb. So, it's going to be very important to you also to figure out what level that Town Hall is. For example, if you use the 5 ICG and you get into that Town Hall, but it's only a level 2, you might be able to hold on to your Warden ability, whereas opposed to where if it's not and it's a level 5 Town Hall, it might be about to just smack the taste out of your mouth. You might want to use the Warden ability to kind of prevent from it blowing up a lot of your troops. So that's something else to take note of, especially at Town Hall 12. That's about all I can think of. Of course, if you're an air attacker, air defenses are always going to be on your radar, but at this point, while still important, they don't get front of mind because you don't really zap dragons or zap E-dragons at this level anymore. It starts to get a little more tactful than that. So, air defenses should be somewhat front of mind. Same thing with like Expos for ground attackers, but this is where they start to drop off, right? And Infernos, the Eagles, the Sweepers, and the Town Hall and the heroes themselves start to kind of take that priority. But you'll see a better example of that when we go to Town Hall 13. All right, so here we are at Town Hall 13 now. Taking a look at Baby Meg. A new player here with us, and I love this layout, which is why I've actually picked this one to use. So, a few things to take note of that stay the same. Eagle Artillery, number one on the priority list at Town Hall 13, in my opinion. Eagle Artillery is number one. I almost always come in from that side. And number two actually becomes a consistent thing here that you need to worry about. And you could debate between 1 and 2, the Eagle versus this one, is the new defensive scatter shots. These things, rather you're an air player or a ground attacker, right? No matter which one it is, the scatter shots will mess you up if left unattended. You need to get to those. You need to get to those quickly. You can quick zap those. That's something that's been popular in the past. I've never had a lot of success doing it, but I've seen a lot of people who have. That should be something you consider doing again. So, and that's kind of person by person, right? So whether you're an air or a ground attacker, the first things you're going to take priority of, and again, this is debatable between everybody, right? But I think it's pretty consistent. It's going to be the Eagle and the scatter shots. Then there's going to be little to no debate about that. Inferno Towers, this is the point where, again, if you're a spam attacker, a Inferno Tower is going to be high on your priority list. Again, if you're doing the 5 ICG, anything involving witches or bowlers, you should go directly towards that. Or anything with a lot of loons, right? But anything a little tankier, low on the priority list. And it's the other way around for the Infernos. So if you're doing stuff like Law Loon, or if you're doing Queen charges, you need to be very careful of those Infernos. You need to have a plan to take care of those quickly. But if you do more of the spammy type stuff, where you have the witches, the bowlers, single Infernos becomes significantly less of a problem. So that's a good thing to take note of too. And you always want to be careful of the heroes too. At this point, the Grand Warden on defense starts to hit for a good bit. So that's something you need to also keep front of mind. And no surprise if you're an air attacker, sweepers. You cannot go head first into sweepers with Electro Dragons, Skybirds, Laloon. You can't go head first to that. So you'd have to go in from a side like this. Do just keep that in mind for yourself. We'll go to Town Hall 14 now. Town Hall 14, I'm going to keep relatively brief because it doesn't really add a lot as far as defenses go. In the way of something different to keep in mind, right? So this stays very, very, very similar to Town Hall 13, believe it or not. I don't know if I said that or not. I might have said it the other way around. Town Hall 15 is where everything starts getting super complicated. And we're keeping track of a lot of moving parts. Town Hall 14 is very similar to 13. Eagle Artillery, scatter shots, top of the priority list, no matter what you're doing. For some reason at 14, and I don't know if it's just the extra troop levels, Inferno Towers do start taking more of a back seat. Not that they're bad. They just don't do as much. They don't feel as strong, at least not to me personally. I still would not leave any single Inferno Tower unattended. That seems a little misguided to me. And again, it does depend on your army. If you're using witches, you can't avoid the multis. If you're doing something like just normal dragons, E-dragons, you can't avoid the singles. So that's just kind of how that works regardless. But they become less important now. Sky attacks, you got to watch out for the sweepers. And the only thing that realistically changes here is the builder huts. So a lot of people will zap Quake at this level or start to Super Archer Blimp. My personal favorite. If you Super Archer Blimp, you have to be careful and make sure you get rid of whatever you're trying to jump on, because those builder huts actually repair stuff. So you need to be super cognizant of that and be very, very careful. The last thing you want is for, you to get that scatter shot or that Town Hall to one shot, and then the builder hull starts to repair it. That's the last thing you want. And for all that progress to have been for nothing. So make sure you keep a track of the builder halls, at least in the general area, for whatever you're trying to get rid of. If you do stuff like the Super Archer Blimp or the Super Balloon Blimp, you actually don't need to specifically look for, oh man, I got to look for all 5 builder halls because this guy told me I had to. No, you just need to make sure they're not in the immediate vicinity of what you're attacking is a little more important. And same thing, look for the stars in the Town Hall. Now, at Town Hall 14, they start dropping poison spells, which are really going to slow down your troops. So you need to figure out, okay, how am I going to get my troops through that bomb and stay alive? That's going to be a very important thing that a lot of people are going to struggle with. Warden ability is always great. Again, with Super Archer Blimp, I don't have that problem because typically I take the Town Hall with me. And then if I have to sacrifice a few Super Archers in that process, so be it. At least my main army is not being slowed and hurt at the same time. But a Warden ability is something I see a lot of people use as well. Making sure it's just not getting poured on them from there. But we're going to go into possibly the most convoluted one, to no surprise, Town Hall 15. Alright, so I'm going to use Beast Layout, another Elder here. I didn't want to use my own, but his is very similar to mine. So what do you want to look out when you're looking for a Town Hall 15? Number one, almost regardless of what you're going to do, is going to be the Monolith. Monolith is going to be high on your priority list, and you got to figure out how you're going to get to it, how you're going to deal with it. Is it going to be Super Archers? Is it going to be Loons? Is it going to be free spells? Is it going to be Skelly Donuts? Stuff like that, just to get to it. That's got to be super high on your priority list to figure out. Now, again, if you're doing more spammy attacks, less of a concern. But there's not that many spammy attacks that I see that are very popular at Town Hall 15, so it becomes a big concern. The next thing you're going to want to worry about is not going to even be the Eagle. The Eagle's actually going to be knocked down to number 3 for me. It's going to be Spell Towers. It's going to be these guys. So these guys are a little dependent on what they are. So for one, a poison spell, you got to be very careful about. They'll destroy a set of Super Archers and a Blimp. They'll slow down your entire army, and there's 2 of them on top of that. So, I mean, those things are always going to be super high priority for you, too. If they're invisibility spells, are they going to be able to drop in such a way that's going to make me miss the Town Hall, right? People tend to put invisibility spells next to a Town Hall, and they're monolith and like a scatter, for example. So that way he gets all 3 of those. And then it's like, well, man, how do I get to that now? Because, your Super Archers hit it. The invisibility of the spell drops. So what are you going to do about that? It's going to be something super important for you to take note of and keep an eye on. And then number 3, what you're going to want to look for, and you're going to notice too, by the way, I haven't said depending on what you're attacking. These things are kind of universal. So every time I'm attacking, rather it be Skybrid, rather it be E-Titan spam, rather it be some type of Yeti attack, which I've been messing with, Witch Slap, anything, Laloon, no matter what, these are what I'm looking for. And there's no debate about it in my mind. You could kind of debate the place if you wanted to, if you think that the Monolith is not as important as the Poison Towers. I don't know what you're on, and in some instances you're right, but I think in the vast majority of cases, I think the Monolith is significantly more important to watch. And then number 3 is going to be the Eagle Artillery. No surprise, if left unattended, it will attack the entire base. Super high in your priority list. And number 4 is going to be the Town Hall. Town Hall 15, level 5, eats you alive. So be careful of that. Please, please, please. So, I think that's all for this. So, yeah, I mean, let me know what you guys think. What would you guys like to see me break down a little bit more? Was there a certain Town Hall? Are there certain layouts you guys keep seeing? A lot that you want me to break down, please do me a favor. Let me know in the comments. I can even show you guys replays of me attacking those types of layouts. So just do me a favor. If there's a layout you want to see me attack or you want to see me break down on what you should be trying to go for, do me a favor. Leave a link to it in the comments. Post a picture of it, something like that. Tag me in it. Anything like that. And, for any other videos you guys want to see in the future, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you guys want to see, and I will see everybody in the next one. Thanks, everybody.